Hi everybody, welcome back. Here we are with my 2019 Ford F-150, and if you watched my last video, you know that this video is going to be about my skid plates that came in. I ordered these from Truck Hardware online, but they were out of Alberta, Lethbridge, Alberta, and I believe I spent just under $800 Canadian with shipping and taxes on them. So let's get them out. So it's a little cold in the garage. It's just below freezing outside. But the reason I'm doing this in the winter is because we're talking about maybe doing some winter wheeling. Okay, we got it all apart. All the hardware, instructions laid out and ready to go. Okay, so I decided to put the truck up on the ramps just to give me a little more room to work. And I'm a little concerned, and I'll look at it together on the front because I have the hidden winch. Those of you who follow me know there's a winch in behind there. So I'm hoping that's not going to cause me any issue, but stand by. I'll try and do somewhat of a step-by-step installation, but I'm going to link the actual factory installation guide video. So right now I'm taking off the factory skid plate, if you can really call it a skid plate. It's pretty much fabric, so stay tuned. So I got a little fed up and broke out the impact gun, and the fabric skid plate is now down. And this is the so-called factory skid plate. Once I took it out, as you can tell, it's just fabric. There is a bit of metal, like a plastic polymer. Not gonna really do anything if you get a stump or a rock up in there. So I'm sure this is beyond overkill, but I'm gonna just take a rag and wipe down where the factory skid plate was. There's some sand and dirt. And I'm just gonna spray a little bit of undercoating on there before I go ahead and install the plate. So there's a little bit of undercoating between the plate and the frame. Okay, so the kit doesn't come with anything to go between the aluminum skid plate and the steel frame. So I have these cutouts from PVC that I'm going to put between the skid plate and the steel frame and hopefully stop the electrolysis. So I just put the front skid plate on, and there's my winch, and I thought there might be clearance issues, but there's none, and I still have access to my clutch lever. It's still in a very inappropriate spot, and I'm trying to I'm working on a potential walk around for that, but whenever I go wheeling, I'm just going to leave the clutch engaged in case I get buried up to my bumper. So yeah, so it's starting to come together. You can see the insulators right in behind the bolts, and there's two insulators under each, one insulator under both of these bolts as well. Okay, so now that I got the oil door secured on, I just have to put these brackets on the side of the rail on both sides. And then when I'm satisfied everything is centered, I'm gonna just go ahead and snug everything right down. So that's the one side bracket on, all three pieces up to the front. I am really disappointed that it doesn't extend out over my transfer case. So if anybody has any suggestions on how to protect that transfer case, I'm thinking the FX4 factory skid plates. I think there's basically a bar that would go across to protect it. And I know I wanted to get something for my fuel tank, and the factory skid plate is plastic. but it might be my only option. So if anybody has any suggestions, please put them in the comments. So I just realized that I didn't put anything to isolate the aluminum from the steel frame. I used PVC, as I had showed you earlier, in between all the other bits that connect the aluminum to the steel. So I ran out of those PVC isolating washers. However, I had some plastic sitting around. It's very durable, I guess polymer. So I just cut a hole in the middle of a square, and I'll put that in between. And now the aluminum is not touching the steel, isolating the two metals. I'm going to also spray. I have some rust cured random rust proofing, and I'm gonna do everything before I tighten everything up, because once everything's snug, it's gonna be hard to get oil in there. And I'm sure it's not necessary, but I'd rather do it and not need it than need it and not do it. So now that I got the skid plates installed and the engine's safer, the next thing I think I'm going to be doing is putting rock slider style step bars on the side. I found some from Weston that I'm thinking of ordering. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so they're all installed, they're all centered, they're all where they're supposed to be, and they're all tightened down. And that's what it looks like from front to back. It took me a couple hours. I'm gonna link the video from the manufacturer, but I'm gonna tell you right now, there's something they don't tell you, and that's the size of sockets you're gonna need. So for the hardware that they supply, you're gonna need a 1/2-inch socket. I use the deep socket. You could use a short socket. You're gonna need a 9/16 socket, obviously a ratchet. Pry bar came in really handy. 13mm socket for the truck, and also a 15mm socket for the truck. And I use the impact gun just to make quicker work of it, but you could use a ratchet, no problem. It doesn't come with anything to isolate, so aluminum and steel together for any length of time without something isolating the two metals will corrode. So if you don't want rust and corrosion, my opinion is to make some sort of isolator. So anyways, okay, so just a quick note. The instructions it comes with are fairly detailed, but there's 2 sets, and one's for the 5-liter V8. And then if you look at the other one, it's for the 2.7, 3.5 EcoBoost and the 3.3 naturally aspirated. Now, anybody that follows my channel knows that this is the 3.3 naturally aspirated. Aftermarket is great for F-150, but not the 3.3. Don't follow the naturally aspirated. There is no turbo, and the turbo intercooler has bolts that they're recommending you use that don't exist on our truck. So if you have a 3.3, follow the 5-liter section. It's all there. All the bits are there you need. The kit comes with everything. I'll take the truck down off the ramps, and I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up. Once again, thanks for watching. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe. Leave a comment. I'd love to get some feedback, questions, and always a like will help me out a lot too. Thank you for watching.